Oh, hey. Let's wrap this up. Sorry for all the interruptions and different videos, but that's life, right? Last thing we talked about was gridlock. Think of gridlock like a traffic jam where nobody can get through. And that's a big deal for Congress. You'll hear that word a lot in GOPO. And usually that has to do with divided government, which means the president and both chambers of Congress in the last 40 years has not usually been the same party. So, Barack Obama, I think for 2 years, he had a Senate and a House that was Democratic. Trump never did have two Senate and the House Republican. And today, in a week, on Inauguration Day, President Biden is going to have unified government, which, as you can probably guess, is going to alleviate some of this gridlock. We'll go deeper later, I promise. And we're running kind of short on time, so I'm going to hit some highlights here as far as these influences and then gerrymandering. But I really want to highlight the videos that are going to be embedded in this lecture because they explain it probably better than me. Okay, so the next thing we'll talk about is polarization. Today, the divide between liberals and conservatives is gigantic. It really is bigger than ever. And we have a lot of party line voting, meaning I'm a Democrat, I vote for all Democrats no matter what. I'm a Republican, I vote for all Republicans no matter what. And that has a big influence on electing Congress people and also what Congress can get done once they are elected. We also have Congress interacting a lot less than they used to because it's so easy to get to Washington and back and forth into their districts. And so back in the day, they would be in Washington for a long time. They would kind of be in a culture where all the parties are in the same town, going to the same restaurants. But nowadays, most members of Congress spend just as much, if not more time back in their districts. And why is that? They'll tell you because they want to keep hearing from their constituents and do what's best for their district. Whereas cynical Mr. Brock says they're there trying to get pork barrel spending and trying to do things to help get them reelected, fundraising and the like. Because they're more in their home districts than in DC, there's going to be a whole lot less interaction, and therefore the parties are going to split further away. As far as so to be partisan means to be like all about your party and no compromise. And then polarization is like a magnet, right? Like you have two poles. And when we talk about party polarization, it's that the two parties are getting further and further apart. They're getting further and further polarized. Cool. Okay. Now we're going to go very quickly into redistricting. Every 10 years we have a census. Okay. And this is only going to have to deal with the House. We have a census every 10 years, and because of the way the Constitution is written, we have to have representatives allocated to each state based on population. So if a ton of people move from Kentucky to Tennessee, and the new census comes out, and there's more people in Tennessee and less people in Kentucky, we lose a House member and Tennessee gains one. And then on top of that, inside the state, we have to divide up the districts. So each district roughly has the same amount of people in it, so they can be represented. They can be represented equally within their states. Okay, so that's what we call reallocation, or reapportionment. Okay, reapportionment, which is we're giving portions out to the state. And so, because the majority party, and this should say in the state legislature, because they get to draw the districts, they can set up districts that benefit their party. And so, we would, before 1962, and this is a court case you got to know, Baker versus Carr. Before that, the state legislature could theoretically draw a district that has one person in it, and make sure that their representative gets that one person, or make sure their representative gets a huge majority of the states. And so it can be shady. Okay. And so out of redistricting comes this word gerrymandering. And gerrymandering is what I call shady redistricting. And so because politicians control the process of redistricting, they're going to do things that benefit them. And so when it comes to gerrymandering, it's drawing those really weird districts, and it's so it benefits their party. And we'll go further into this now. So it's named after this guy named Elbridge Gerry, and I'll show you the district that your boy drew. If I can get it pulled up here. That's the wrong button. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they call it a gerrymander, because, of course, they're naming it after Jerry, and then it looks like a salamander. So I'm going to try to paste this picture in here just for a second. And so this is the district that was drawn by Mr. Gerry. And as you can see, it just doesn't make sense. There's more of the state here. How is this district the same as this district? This is, as you can see, the gerrymander here has eaten Lady Liberty, and it has the Supreme Court petting it and saying, hey, since you just ate Lady Liberty, would you like an after dinner mint? And what that's talking about is how the Supreme Court, since the 60s, has upheld gerrymandering for the most part. So a party in the state legislature is going to make sure that they have safe seats. So they're going to see how many people vote for Democrats, how many people vote for Republicans, and then they're going to draw a district where their party is probably going to win. And that's usually, if they say 55% or better, that's how they'll do it. And then if it's closer than that, those are usually called marginal seats. or swing districts. And in 2016, swing districts were in Pennsylvania and Florida, and there were a ton of swing districts in 2020. Florida wasn't as big of a one, but Georgia was a big one. Pennsylvania and Georgia was really big. So, and then when we look at the House, most of the seats are safe seats. So representatives don't really have to worry about it. Okay, very quickly, this is something you'll probably see on a GOPO exam, and it explains gerrymandering. Okay, so we have 50 people, 60% blue, 40% red. Okay, and we're going to divide them up into 5 districts. Okay, the first one is perfect representation. Obviously, if we are doing this fair, then there should be districts of 10 people, and red should get 40%, and blue should get 60%. And so here is perfect representation. Now we're going to make a situation, and blue is going to win there. Now we're going to make a situation where the districts are more compact, but it doesn't end up with blue winning with 60%. So what they've done here is they've drawn the 5 districts like they have to. All districts have 10 members, but the way it's drawn is blue wins every district. Now, if you're blue, that's the way you want to draw your district, right? Now, let's look at how red could draw these districts. Okay, if you look, they're following all the rules. It's super funky, but they have made it so they give blue this district and this district, but you can see here they have 5 to 4, sorry, 6 to 4, 6 to 4 here, and 6 to 4 here. And so in this situation, a party that only has 40% of the vote wins. And a lot of people are very angry about that. Now, who has been winning in the past 20 years? It's Republicans, okay? And, of course, the Democrats will say, oh, these Republicans, they're so shady. How are they doing this? But the truth is Democrats do it too, and they just don't have as much power in state legislatures as Republicans do. And every chance they get to draw these districts in a way that benefits their party, they do as well. It's kind of like what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So we got to talk about racial gerrymandering, okay? And in this case, Shaw versus Reno, okay? So if districts are drawn to dilute the votes of a minority, or to make the votes of a minority more powerful, the Supreme Court says that gerrymandering can be overturned. So the 2 redistricting Supreme Court cases you need to know is Baker versus Carr, which is 1 person, 1 vote, meaning the districts have to have the same roughly population, and then Shaw versus Reno, which is the racial gerrymandering Supreme Court case, and it says that racial gerrymandering is unconstitutional. We talked about divided government earlier, and so Barack Obama. Okay, so if we have if we have two parties that, if we have a lot of, it's really close, especially in the Senate. Um, they can stop a lot. Remember, every cabinet head and every judge in the federal court system is appointed by the president but confirmed by the Senate. And so Obama in 2016, right before he was about to leave office, a Supreme Court justice died, and Obama nominated a new Supreme Court justice. But Mitch McConnell, being an awesome politician, basically said, we're not going to vote on this. We're not going to vote on this until after the 2016 election. Donald Trump won, and then Donald Trump got to nominate the Supreme Court judge, who was Brett Kavanaugh. And because of that, that was the first of three Supreme Court members that Donald Trump got to appoint. So it gives him a whole lot of power. As far as Congress, most people hate Congress. Okay, their approval rating is below 15%. But when we talk about the average individual congressperson's approval rating, it's 60%. And the truth is, it's because congresspersons really help people in their districts, and they'll say because that's their job, and cynical Mr. Brock will say that's because they want to get reelected. And then finally, I always like to end this lesson with Congress. This has Congress's approval rating at 19%. And you can see they have a lower approval rating compared to the alternative of which do you like better, Congress or head lice. People pick head lice, 67% to 19%. You get colonoscopies, you get root canals, you get the band Nickelback, which is the closest, and used car salesmen. So Americans respect used car salesmen almost as twice as much as they respect members or Congress as a whole. So I'll leave you with that, and keep continuing to be awesome, and I'll see you soon.